Hey YouTube, it's your girl keeping it real with Tra-Luv. I'm back. Hey guys. So, anyway guys, we're gonna get straight to the point on this video. I was actually watching, it was Truth Hurts live last night. And I just want to say that young man on that live was absolutely disrespectful at a point. However, that young man was absolutely 100% telling the truth and on point with what he was saying as far as down low men. And that's why in that video, people better start listening. Everything he was kind of saying last night, I wanted to say that in that video. However, I did not want to just call that guy out or whatever, not really knowing the absolute truth about him, and I still don't. And so I didn't go there, so therefore I didn't go there with my story. However, he was absolutely correct, and I know because I lived that life for 10 years. And not because I did not know what was going on. I knew at a point, but it was convenient. It was just convenient. And I just whatever. But he was absolutely correct when he was speaking of the respect that down low men have for women or don't have for women. So guys, I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you my story. And I kind of seen all of this, just through the rumors that was floating around or whatever the case may be. And so I think that's why Dalvin is in his dark spot or space. And I really do think he's in a dark space. I don't think that it's made up. I don't think it's a ploy for views. I don't think any of that. In fact, I think it's a cry out for help, or just a cry out to, just start to release who he is. And I also want to say that I do not think that this situation has anything to do with his family dynamics or anything like that. I think something else has happened in Dalvin's family, and I think it took place long years ago. For whatever reason, he feel like it started to change at 4 years old or whatever, and I'm not sure what that may be. I don't know. But I think him being who he is has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on within his family. Now, I don't know. A lot of kids are molested at a young age. I don't know. And guys, let me hurry up and say before somebody runs with this. I'm not saying that that's what happened to Dalvin. I don't know. However, what I do think is something took place within his family that has him feeling a certain way as well. But anyway, guys, so let me just go ahead and tell you my story. So I lived with the down low man, and everything that guy was saying last night, he was absolutely 100% telling the truth. And I experienced it. So we're going to start off. And guys, I'm going to leave out a few details in this video, because the actual person that did this to me, he does watch my videos. And we have a mutual respect for one another now. However, it took me a long time to get to that place. But I am going to leave out some details because he does watch my videos. But anyway, I met this guy, and we started talking and everything, and it's sort of like the other content creator that went to Africa and discovered she was a queen or whatever. Yeah, it was the same. Met this guy, we started talking and, hanging out and everything, and make a long story short, we end up moving in together. So, we moved in together fairly quickly. Was having fun, enjoying each other, and everything like that. So anyway, it didn't take long. I'm gonna tell you, it did not take long. God gives us signs from the very beginning, but like that guy said, we tend to ignore those signs, but they're there from the very, very beginning. So, I'm gonna tell you how I started recognizing he had this best friend, or this so-called friend that was his best friend or whatever. So I noticed that whenever I would leave the house or whatever, and I would come back home or whatever, whenever this friend was over, there were two locks on the door. There was a latch lock on the door, and then there was the deadbolt lock on the door. So I noticed whenever I leave the house and come back and this guy wasn't there, only the deadbolt lock would be locked, and I could just put the key in and open the door and come in with no problem. However, whenever his best friend was there, whenever I came home, both locks would always be locked, which means he would have to come unlock the door to let me in. So that did run through my mind. Like, eventually, after that happened a couple of times, I was always like, I wonder why the latch is always on the door whenever this person is over, but whenever this person isn't over, it's just the deadbolt lock on. So one day I left. I don't even know where I went to, but one day I left, and he told me the guy was coming over or whatever. So I left and I came back, and again the deadbolt lock was on the door. So he had to come to the door and unlock the door. This was actually the first time I actually started paying attention to the fact that something is not right in this situation. So when he came and unlocked the door, when he came to the door, his pants was unzipped. I don't know what made me zoom down to automatically notice that his pants was unzipped. And by the time I got to our room, his so-called best friend was laying on my futon, with no shirt on or whatever the case may be. And so I asked him, I'm like, why is your pants unzipped, and why is this person just laying here on my futon with his shirt all off or whatever? And I noticed this is the first time I kind of like, got a little angry or whatever, because it just didn't look right. So he was like, oh, it was hot in here or whatever, and he had just had to use the bathroom and ran from the bathroom or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, okay, it was hot in there, and people do have to use the bathroom. So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, maybe he's telling the truth. And so I went ahead and ignored it that day. But guys, let me say this first before I continue. My intuition, like I said, the way God speaks to us is through our intuition. He can't speak to you the way I'm speaking to you. He speaks through that funny feeling, that gut feeling, that intuition that you have. So my intuition had already been telling me, like I say, because it was just a feeling. I knew something wasn't right, but I just couldn't put my hand on it. So we wasn't like all that sexual or anything, because I just wasn't feeling it for whatever reason. For one thing, he was too over the top, like that guy was speaking of last night. It was like he was trisexual. Anything he want to try, and just so like I don't know the word, but so anxious and just so over the top or whatever, that it like turned me off or whatever. So I'm gonna just tell you guys, before I actually figured out what was going on, we had not been that much sexual with each other anyway, because it was just a lot of things that was turning me off from that. So anyway, then the guy would start coming, throwing rocks or whatever, at the bedroom window at night, like, yeah, guys, come on and come out to the club with us. He had a white girl. He would always have a white girl with him whenever he came, over or whatever. But 10, 11 o'clock at night, he's throwing rocks or whatever at the, window, talking about, come on, let's go to the club, whatever. And so that's kind of when I started really like disliking the guy, because I'm just like, what type of guy, if you with your woman or whatever, and you see this man is with his woman, what type of guy comes at 10, 11 o'clock at night and throw rocks at another man's window, talking about, come on, let's go to the club and blase, this. So I'm just like, I'm telling him, I'm really not liking this guy. This guy is no good, this, which at this point, I'm still taking him for his word that this was his best friend or whatever the case may be. But then I also start noticing too, because I told him, whenever I'm around and you're talking to these people, don't speak your language, speak my language. You know my language, but I don't know your language. So speak my language. He knows my language. It's very rude of you to speak in your language, whenever I'm around. So he would do that for a moment whenever this guy called. Then he would immediately revert back to their language. And I would just notice how he would, sit around on the bed or whatever the case may be, wherever he was sitting when he was talking to this guy. And he always had the posture and movements of, a lot of femininity. And so I was like, he only does this type of stuff when he gets on the phone with this particular guy. So I saw all of that in the beginning, but again, I just, kept ignoring it and sweeping it under the rug or whatever the case may be, but it was in my face the whole time. So, this went on for a minute. He would disappear times, guys. Listen, one time, he called from work and he's like, his manager was going to bring him home from work or whatever the case may be, was going to take him to the train station. And then I was going to pick him up from the train station. Well, lo and behold, I'm not gonna go through every detail, but maybe like that was like 4 o'clock that evening, and so about 10 o'clock that night, I still hadn't got a phone call. I called this manager, he wasn't answering the phone. I called this job and they was like, no, he left here at 4 o'clock, this. Anyway, when he finally walked through the door, this guy told me he was locked in the freezer at work. And so my question to him was, you mean to tell me you not froze to death? They didn't have to call the ambulance or nothing to get you unfroze or anything like that. He stuck with the thing that he was actually stuck in the freezer at work. Anyway, guys, this went on for a while, and again, by this time I'm actually knowing, that something is, absolutely not correct in this story. So at this point, I'm just not a fool. I'm just not going through every single detail of the story. But at this point, I'm not a fool. I knew something was not right, and I knew it from the beginning. I knew it from the very beginning. But again, I ignored it. And actually, what I really discovered with this guy was, to just sum it up, he was using me for an actual cover up, and this just became a relationship of convenience because, again, he's a man from another country. I didn't have to pay rent, any bills, anything. I actually had kept his debit card where all his checks and everything went to, and I would just give him money off of his debit card when he asked for money or whatever. So it was a relationship of convenience. So that's how I know about relationships that are actually convenient relationships, okay? Because I've been there, done that, and it's easy for me to pick up on the moves and everything that's going on. It's easy for me to pick up on those kind of relationships. And I'm gonna just throw this in here real quick and move on. Those kind of relationships cannot be broken by anyone because they're already broke. And mind you, I tell you, I stayed with this guy for 10 years. So we were together all of this time, and neither one of us loved each other. He just needed me as his cover up. And again, for me, it was just convenience because I didn't have to have sex, didn't have to pay any bills, rent, or anything like that. Could buy what I wanted to buy. He was a good provider and everything. That's actually how I got the cat. He, was just staying away so much that one day he just got off work and brought a cat home and was just like, here's something to keep you company. And that was like, what, 8 years ago? So anyway, guys, back to the story. So that's when I really realized that something was definitely, not right in what was going on with him and his so-called best friend. Well, we moved on, and I guess he told his friend, that I was assuming these things. So the friend started staying away from the house. The majority of times, I guess they was just talking and doing whatever they were doing, away from me. So then we moved into this house or whatever. And when we moved into this house, I can't remember if his car had broken down at that time or if he had already got in his car. But anyway, I was picking him up from the train station every day. And so again, one particular day, he was like, late or whatever. And so finally he calls and tells me he's ready to come get him. So as I'm on my way to pick him up, my phone rings. And when my phone rings, it's this guy, and he asks to speak to him. And I say, he's not here. And as a matter of fact, this is the same number that he just called me from to tell me to come and pick him up. So the guy was like, oh, yeah, I just wanted to make sure he gave me the correct number. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, anyway, I'm getting ready to go pick him up. And when I pick him up, I'll tell him that you called. So about 5 minutes later, the guy calls back. And I was like, sir, he's not here. I told you once I pick him up, I would tell him that you called. So the guy was like, okay. So Tommy got in the car. I automatically dialed the number back and handed him the phone. So when I handed him the phone, they on the phone arguing like, what you keep calling me for? You know, this. And the guy was in the background saying something, whatever. So the next day, the guy started calling my phone every day. No, it was that same day. The guy called my phone, and now me and the guy got into an argument, and the guy immediately told me, that's why I effed your man. So, I was like, oh my God, it was like a shock, but it wasn't no surprise to me. And again, I wasn't that, angry or anything like that, because like I said, sex wise, we were actually not going there. Because I just can't, for me, sex is mental. And I had stopped ignoring those signs and realized that something was not right with this guy. But again, let me state it again. It was a relationship of convenience. So for me, I'm like, okay, whatever. So every day from that day on, about 20, 30 times a day, somebody would call and play on my phone. Whenever I answered the phone, they would just hang it up continuously from all these different numbers and things like that. And it didn't start until this situation right here. But he would say he didn't know who it was. And whenever I would try to leave, he would beg, start crying, no, don't go, all this kind of stuff or whatever. But then one morning, he left out the house around 3 o'clock in the morning. And then about 6 o'clock in the morning, my phone rings from a private number. And I answered it because my mom was the only one who would normally call me from a private number, because her number was private. So when I answered the phone, it was somebody on the phone having sex. So I just hung the phone up. They called right back. And the same thing, I hung the phone up again, and I had my number changed the next day. So, let me say this, guys. Like I said, I'm skipping over some things because he does watch my videos. And again, we do have a mutual, respect for one another now. So it's some things that I'm actually leaving out. So now, at this point, he had basically stopped caring, like that guy was saying last night. They will never, ever do right or straighten up or anything like that for a woman, because it's really not a woman that they want. They have an agenda, and they're just using you for that agenda. And then when you're coming to them with this combative stuff, you're going against their agenda. So they actually get angry at you, because you are really not who they want in the first place. So they do these disrespectful things, and they're unapologetic for it, because they really don't care that they're doing it to you. You are just that convenience for them, that cover up for them. And they're never really gonna get it straight for you and no other woman, because it's not you or any other woman that this person wants. So by this time, he has started being just extremely disrespectful. But also by this time, it had become very, very clear that's what was going on. And not just from the things that I just told you guys, but it was one big thing I saw one day. He came home from work. I saw it. And I immediately knew then. I knew from that day, and I sat him down and I asked him, and I'm like, look, be truthful to me, And he immediately blew up, went crazy, went berserk or whatever, and that answered the question for me. So I knew that's what he was doing. And at this point, though, I was getting kind of angry because I'm like, now I have given this guy every opportunity to just say, even though I didn't need those opportunities, because I knew we as women got to stop ignoring. It's like in any relationship. I don't care if it's man or woman, man and man, woman and woman. Whatever the case may be, the Most High give us red flags from the beginning. And I am one that truly believes in wherever there's smoke, there's fire. So everything a person is saying may not absolutely be true about another person, but just those things being brought up along, somewhere something has happened for that smoke to start festering. And again, when there's smoke, there is fire. So, yeah. So anyway, it went on and went on and went on like this or whatever. And he never was apologetic. He never, was sorry for anything. In fact, he started to get worse and worse and worse and worse, because I think he probably thought at that moment, even though I haven't actually told her, she knows, and I'm more happier over here than I am with her. So he continued to do whatever it is he wanted to do. So when I heard that young man last night, everything that young man last night had to say on that panel, let's put aside the disrespect. That young man was speaking 100% truth. I've lived that life, and that life also was a relationship of convenience. So I know about those relationships as well. So I'm gonna just kind of shorten this up a little bit. We went on and lived like that with each other for 10 years until finally I was just like, you know what I realized, this was more than just having a relationship of convenience. What I realized is, even though I wasn't sleeping with this guy was bringing those evil and different type of spirits into the same bed that I'm sleeping in at night. Yes, we were sleeping in the same bed and not even touch each other. Period, point blank. It was times he would try, and I would just be like, no, sir. No, sir. So eventually he got tired of even trying. And we would just lay in the bed together every night and never ever touch each other. But this dude started coming home. It was like, he had been laying down in the grass somewhere, like they was just finding places to have sex anywhere and everywhere before he came home. He would come home, grass and everything would be all in his hair, and all these things he could never explain. He would just immediately start getting angry, and things like that. And so at this point, it started causing me to get angry and start to really, really think, like, is this relationship of convenience really worth it? Oh, but let me say this too, guys. Let me say this, because a lot of you guys are probably wondering, why was I so comfortable staying into this relationship of convenience? Well, that relationship is kind of started the beginning of my depression, and then a year after I got with this guy is when my grandmother passed, and I just sunk into deep depression after that. So I really wasn't paying attention to anything much around me, didn't really care about much around me. I was just depressed. I had lost the best and the only thing in my world. Um, I was just out of it, to be honest with you. I was just out of it. But when I started to come around, and come back to life, I started realizing this guy's bringing these demons and everything into my bed every night. And I just can't keep doing it. It's wickedness. Not that he was doing what he was doing. For me, the issue was, I don't have a problem with anybody being the way that you are. What I have the problem with is you pushing that life upon somebody else without giving them the choice to choose if they want to deal with that life or not. So at this point, through my anger, because in this guy's country, supposedly they don't go that way, they don't do these things, and this. Well, I had gotten to the point, I'm like, okay, this guy chose this for me, so now I choose to go tell his family what he's doing and who he is. So that's exactly what I did. And listen, I'm sorry if you watch this video. I'm absolutely sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, because this is my story to tell, and I think you understand that by now. We've already talked after, so you know now how I feel about the situation. So I'm sorry that you have to rehear this, but this is also my story to tell. So I went to his family, and I told his family what he was doing. Yes, I do regret that now, because that wasn't my place to do that. So yes, I do regret that now. But at that time, I was like, this guy didn't give me a choice to choose. I'm walking everywhere. This is what started to go through my head, even though, like I said in the beginning, I had already figured it out. But I'm walking everywhere with you, going places with you. And these people that know you are this way, like your so-called best friend, they all laughing and giggling or whatever, because they think you're blind to the situation. So anyway, yeah, I went to his family and I told his family, exactly who he was and what he was doing. He was doing a lot more other things too. That's why we can't think because people are from other places or whatever, they're better than American men or this. That's absolutely not true. I'm going to reiterate, like I said on my Never Give Your Power Away to Anybody's video, that you have screwed up people in every race, every culture. Bottom line, that's it. That's all. So, after I did that, I just started to think, and I'm like, I can't keep dealing with this, because what I'm doing, I'm taking upon those demonic spirits as well that he's bringing in, laying up in my bed every night, with this stuff. So, make a long story short, I finally got tired and I put him out. And I was meaning it this time. I just put him out and I was done. And I was like, there's no turning back. This guy needs to go be happy, which he still hasn't admitted to this day, that's what he's doing. But I know, I lived with this guy for 10 years. He still deals with women or whatever, and I'm not out there trying to warn these women or anything, because if they're anything like me, they probably seen it, because That's just his thing, you know. And he will never be happy with a woman because that's not what he truly wants. So I haven't tried to make it my business to tell any of these women or whatever, but that's what he still does. He still talk to women, you know, because again, he needs a woman for his cover up, but he's truly in love with men. And it was so many other things that took place. Like I said, I'm leaving a lot of details out because he does watch my videos. And still to this day, you know, I can call him for something and he'll give it to me. And not because he's trying to keep me from telling anybody. I've already did that. I've already went to his family and told, and I told some of my family. So it's not that he's trying to stop me from telling anybody, and he know that wouldn't stop me either. You can't bribe me like that. So, you know, he will just still look out for me. And I, like I said, I do have a mutual respect for him, because he wasn't, you know, just a complete bad guy. He's just stuck into who he really is. And because where he comes from, they don't do that kind of stuff. So he didn't want those people knowing that, you know, that's what he do. So to make a long story short, when I started hearing those, you know, rumors and everything, and then seeing how angry the Ellie girl was, and again, guys, neither one of them, Ellie nor Dalvin, has admitted to this or stated any of this or anything like that. I'm just going by my assumptions and what I saw going through my relationship of living with a down low man like that, and hearing certain things. It's a lot of similar situation, similar things that made me start to think that. And then when I saw his video, and he talked about how dark of a space he was in, that's not the only thing that hit me. The main thing that hit me and said, okay, this guy doesn't want something to come out, is the way he was begging the T channels to please think about what you're doing before you post these things. He kept putting emphasis on please, before you bring anything out, please think about, this is another human. This is, you know, somebody with feelings or whatever. So please consider before you post certain things. That's what did it for me. That's exactly what did it for me. But when I heard that guy last night on Truth's channel, I just listened. I didn't chime in. I didn't do anything. I just laid right there and listened to that live until he was actually booted off the live for being disrespectful. But that guy's absolutely right. No matter what woman a person, a down low man gets with, he will never be happy. He will treat her very well in the beginning to get her stuck. Once he does that, he's gonna go off and start to do anything and everything he wants to do. And he's not gonna be apologetic for it, because he's not. He's happy with men and not women. And we as women have to really, really pay attention to certain things. And guys, I can tell you, I stayed celibate that whole relationship. So we'll say I lived with this guy about 10 years. So, well, 10 years. I was celibate like 9 of those years, and I went straight into celibacy. So altogether, I was celibate for like 10 years, and then I ran back into this guy who I used to date back into my 20s, and we tried to work it out, whatever. And he a whole different story too. And I'm not gonna bring out his mess either, because he watched my videos too. So I'm not gonna bring out his mess either. But that had to end too. And now I'm back celibate. And guys, let me tell you, that down low relationship is really what scared me up from men. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and here it is so popular. It's happening so much. So I think most of the men here are like that. So I just prefer to just not date or anything like that, because in Atlanta, Georgia today, you don't know who's who and who's doing what. And that relationship really scared me up, because I'm like, this guy was so adamant in the beginning till he could not hide it anymore. He's still denying it, but I know the truth. He's still not just man enough or comfortable enough to come out and be like, yeah, that's who I am and that's what I'm doing and this. But he know I know, you see. So yeah, that scared me up from men. But they don't have any type of respect for women. I don't care how beautiful you are. I don't care how fine you are. I don't care how much you cook, clean, how much you do whatever. They will never, never just be with that woman. And they're going to always disrespect her over that man. So I'm not sure if what Ellie saw in public was that deep, or whatever the case may be, as to the reason why she's saying you disrespected me in public. Then she needs an apology in public. I don't know. But Dalvin, when he was, saying his thing with Ellie, like, I didn't believe that first apology either. Like that guy said, it's funny because that guy last night and myself, we had so many similar thoughts. I didn't believe that first apology, the one he made before he made that dark place apology. I just thought that was some fake ass apology that he just came out with really quick and had, needed to say something, just because she had come out. But the same things, how, oh, she's a sweet girl, she's this, she that. He used to say those same things to me. Oh, Tracy, you're so good. Oh, you're angel, Tracy, you angel, all this kind of stuff. But I think too, because I had not told at that point, that may have been him trying to sweeten me up and this. But at some point, my anger took over, because I'm just like, no, I didn't ask for this. You see, so I think, maybe he's trying to keep her from talking. She may have seen something. I don't know. But what I do know is, every single thing that guy was saying last night, except, let me just put this out here. I absolutely agree with Joy when she stated, and I'm going to go a little further with it. I don't even think she stated this, but I'm going to say it. No gay man that deals with men can come and tell me as a black straight woman how to submit to my black straight man. I absolutely agree 100% with her on that. But everything else that God was saying about those down low men is the absolute truth. And we just need to stop ignoring it and face it, because again, the signs are definitely there. The Most High show us those signs from the beginning, and it's extremely hard for them to hide it, because there's something that's tearing them up in the inside. So I absolutely believe Dalvin's dark place video. I absolutely believe it. And even the tone in his voice and all of that type of stuff, it was different. People fake things, and I think they fake things in the past, but I absolutely believe that dark place video. And I think, again, no, I'm not going to say think, I believe in my hearts of heart that dark place video is about him not being able to be what his heart is yearning for him to be. He's crying out. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because of this macho thing or whatever, because clearly his family accepts it, clearly, and we know that. And I'm not going to state why. We all who's watching this video should know why I feel that way. I think his family would absolutely accept him. I think it's him that's not accepting it for whatever reason. But I feel like that video was a cry out, and he is in a dark space. And like he said, he's been in that dark space for a long time now. So and I think that dark space for a long time is because he haven't been able to just come out and be like, hey, this is me. I'm finna do what I do. I don't care what nobody think, what nobody gotta say. I'm gonna be who I'm going to be. And because he haven't just pushed through the doors like that, he is in a very dark space. This guy was the same way. Always unhappy. Always miserable. Because he was hiding who he truly is from his family and most of his friends. You see, but whenever he got around that guy, he was always giggly, laughing, and things like that. And then today, I asked him, are you and so still friends? No. He don't want to tell me why or anything, but this was your best friend, remember? But now you guys no longer talk, because that was never his best friend. That was his boyfriend. I was his best friend. I was his friend to him, but that was his man, you see. So, yeah. Women, we actually better start listening. Everything else I said on that video, I meant it too, with the suicide and, everything else going on. But my thoughts then and my thoughts now have not changed. Dalvin and that Ellie lady, I went back and looked at the video. She was on the scene for about maybe 7 months. Nobody, man or woman, falls that deep into a dark space over a relationship. Everybody else has made that man's misery about this woman, because she came out telling, but she didn't tell what happened. But I have no doubt in my mind that misery, darkness, and unhappiness is not at all about her. Not at all about her. Because if that was the case, and he was really in love with her, and she was really in love with him, that's all he would have had to do was straighten up and change whatever it was he was doing to her. But he can't, because it's deeper than her. It's not about her. It's about him and whoever he's loving on the outside of that relationship. So everybody else just immediately, making it about that. No, 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 no. You see, she's gone on enjoying herself, having fun, this. I looked at all of their videos throughout the time they were doing videos together. I never saw true chemistry there. Just like I didn't and don't see true chemistry in the convenient relationship of his uncle, who everybody is supposedly trying to destroy. But a convenient marriage, relationship, or anything else can't be destroyed. It's already destroyed. Whether it goes on conveniently for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 10 years, like mine's did. It can't be destroyed. It's already destroyed. The inside of that home is turmoil. So that's why I can speak on both of those, because I've been in both in one relationship. And that's all I tell people. Just sit back and watch and you'll see for yourself. See, we judge on everything that's happening right now. But I'm here to tell you, it took me 10 years to finally say, you know what? This gotta go. Because, it's spirits that come along with that stuff. And like I told you guys earlier, spiritual demons, they are some hard demons to fight. They are some hard demons to fight. Why you think it's so many people out here doing wrong and very few doing the right thing? Doing wrong is very easy to do, but doing the right thing is extremely hard. It's extremely hard to stay on the track of doing the right thing every single day. Those spiritual demons is nothing like that flesh and blood that you're fighting against. Those spiritual demons will continue to come at you, continue. And they won't leave until you come out and fess and be exactly who you are. This same guy right now today, he's still the same. Ain't much changed about him. The times I've seen him recently and everything, there's nothing much changed about him, because he's still trying to fight those same demons. And you're never going to win against spiritual demons unless you're being truthful to who you are. So, guys, it was a lot more to that story, but I just wanted to come out after I saw him last night on that video. I wanted to applaud that guy because he was absolutely correct. They don't respect the women that they're with, and they don't care. They don't care because their heart is not really there. You're just a thing of convenience for them. They need you. So, therefore, they need you. They're going to give you what you need to stay around, to stick around. And if you ain't gonna do it, they're gonna just go find another one. But what I think right now is Dalvin is afraid. Dalvin is afraid because once one thing starts to come out, it's like a domino effect. More and more and more and more starts to come out, because where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think Dalvin understands that. So I think Dalvin has a lot going on in his head, dealing with whatever family issues may have taken place, along with dealing with trying to be who he really wants to be. And again, guys, this is my opinion. Dalvin hasn't come out and said anything of the sort. His family hasn't come out and said any of the sort. Ellie hasn't come out and said any of the sort. And nobody else that really know him well, better than we do, has come out and said anything of the sort. This is my opinion, what I see, what I've seen in their videos, and what I've heard. And I just see kind of what I went through and my relationship with the down low man. So, yeah, guys, that's my opinion. And again, like I said, I left a lot of this story out because he does watch my videos. And, I wasn't trying to bring up any, past sores and scabs or anything. And I hope you understand that. But again, this is my story too. And I have the right to tell it. But I'm not trying to bring up any type of ill feelings for you or anything like that. So guys, I did leave out a lot of things, but I do want you guys to know that everything that young man was stating last night on that panel, as far as down low men, was the absolute truth. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you for listening to my video again. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. I would have brought that out that day, but I didn't want to go so far into insinuating that deep since nobody else had said anything. But when I heard that guy last night, he was hitting the points. He was hitting the head, the nail on the head with the hammer. I mean, like, wasn't missing the heads, okay? So anyway, bye, YouTube. See you on the next video. Bye.